Alright guys, it's 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. Just got back from work. I was going to do a video to show you guys how to take off your rear fender and your front fender. I was going to leave that a couple of weeks and focus on something else, but circumstances are that I've got to take them off and get them back to the painter, because I had these custom tins done last July, August, and the clear coat has started to flake on the front rear fender, so I've got to get them off anyway and get them to the painter tomorrow. And tomorrow and Friday he's going to blow them over again, and hopefully find out why the paint started to peel and flake. I had the tins hydro dipped and then clear coated over the top, 3 coats of clear coat, and then it was, you know, wet sanded back and polished. But I was cleaning the bike on Sunday, and not with a jet wash or anything like that, just with a bucket of water and some proper, you know, the proper stuff, and rinsing it off, and I just noticed it. I'll show it you anyway. So this video will be a run through of how to take off your rear fender and your front fender, and obviously what tools you'll need, and you know, if there's any torque settings or anything that you need to you know, adhere to or anything like that, then I'll put them in the at the bottom down here. Alright then, so I'll get the tools and I'll get set up, I'll get a light working so you can see underneath the fender, and we'll have a look what's underneath there. Okay, see you in a minute, cheers. Okay, so here we are at the back of the bike on the rear brake side, and up underneath your fender, hopefully you can see this clear enough. I've put a work light up underneath. In there you've got three bolts there, 1, 2 and 3. Those are 10mm, and they are the ones that secure your rear brake light, right? And then directly above them you've got another cluster of 3 which are also 10mm, and they secure your rear indicator stalk there with your number plate. Right, so basically all you do is you remove those 6 nuts off there, and that allows everything to become loose. Now here you've got your wiring loom, I don't know if you can see that. Luckily on mine I've got connectors so I can pull these apart. Now under the fender you've got these little metal clips which hold the cables in place. I've pulled that one off. If you can see that, they're just clipping, and then you can just bend them over a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off them bolts now and release the rear brake light and the indicator stalk, and make a note of where these cables go. Now you have got, there's 2 that go to the indicators there. Is there 2 or 3? No, sorry, there's actually 4. Right, so on mine I've got a black one, okay, and I've got a white to green. And then on the other side again I've got a black one and a white one, and that goes to green and brown, and another black. So I'm going to number these up left and right. So that's those. You just pull those apart, and then the rear brake light one, I've got a feeling that's inside, because I can't see a join here at all. So I'm going to put the camera down and I'm going to have a mooch and see what I can find. So I'll set the camera up on the tripod and you can have a look. Alright. Okay, cheers. Okay, so pretty straightforward. We'll start with the brake light assembly. So 10mm socket or ratchet spanner, whichever. Just take the 3 bolts out. Obviously I'll be cleaning these up, cleaning the threads up, putting some copper slip on or some grease, because they do get a bit mucked up. So I'll be doing all that before I put it all back together. And hopefully these all come off. The nuts all come off, I should say. But I think yeah, it's actually twisted. Right, so inside here you've got your thread, your bolt that goes through with the nut on the other side. What's happening with this one is it's spinning inside here, so I've got to take this apart. So I'll just try the other one first, see if that one's coming off any easier. This is just one of them things that you might come across doing jobs like this, and you just need one of them get out of jail free cards so you can crack on. Right, that's moving. That one's coming out. It's a bit awkward to get to because obviously you've got your rear tyre. And what I've done is I've put the bike up on a jack to get it level, but also to take the weight off the back tyre, so I can get my hand up underneath a bit better. Right, so that's them two nuts. A pair of long nose pliers to get at the back of the bolt, back of the nut I mean. To hold the bolt. It's always bloody something. Okay, that's off. Right. That's out. Another clearance issue now. Got to take the number plate off. Number plate off. Okay. There we go. You'll notice, I don't know if you can see. Trying to get a good visual so I can see. Right, if you look down here, I'll pan the camera down. Right, you've got these 3 rubber washers that obviously locate in the 3 bolts there. Now inside, as well as the rubber washer, you've got like a metal that in. Show you what. I've got to take these out anyway because it's been repainted. You got those. Okay. So the fat end goes in at the back, and the little bit sticks through. It just stops you from squashing your fender, and obviously damaging your paintwork. So these just pop out. So gently push the metal out first, like that. Collapse the rubber, push it in the hole, and there you go. that one's done and runner. I'll get that in a minute. There's my other one. There you go. Right, so that's that out. So now let's pan you back up and we'll do the indicator stalk. Again, same again. Just a 10mm ratchet. You've got three lugs there. Okay, these shouldn't turn, but then again, they shouldn't have turned on the rear brake light either, but I did. So if I'll come in at the back, do the top one first. Just while you take off the last one, just support that because you don't want it sliding down, scratching your lovely paintwork. Okay. Right, so then just give it a little jiggle. There is a rubber seal on it, so just be careful. Just a case of jiggling it backwards and forwards. Get your fingers underneath, like that. So when it does suddenly fly out, you don't jam it down and scratch your bloody paintwork. Oh, bloody cramp now. Right. Okay, so we're at the stage now where I've got to slacken the wiring loom. And you just do that by getting your finger and just bending them little tabs underneath just to free the wiring loom. And there we go, there's the wiring loom. You've got your rubber there, that'll get a good clean before it goes back on. Right, now, here are the connectors. I'll do it like this so you guys can get a feel for what I'm doing. Right. Left indicator, there's your cable there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what the connectors are on this one, and obviously I've got a black one and a white one. The black one goes to a black one and the white one goes to a green and brown one. I think it's brown. So those are left. So what I'll do is I'll get a bit of masking tape. Where's my masking tape? There we go. Right, so let's just bring it down a little bit so you can see. Okay, right, left indicator. Bring it down a bit more. Right, left indicator. Okay, that's them two. Right, so I've got a black one to a black one and a white one to a, it's either red, green and brown or green and red. I can't really see. So what I'll do is if I put just a little bit of masking tape on those two, so I know that them two are left hand. Okay. So you don't need to number the top ones because they're already attached to your indicator. And then you've got these daft little bloody plastic clips that you have to push in slightly and lever out at the top and then pull apart like that. Okay, so you got like a little plastic spring. Just get your nail behind it, pull it towards you, and then that one will lift out. Alright, so again that one, there you go. Okay, so that's the black one to the black on the left indicator, and the white one goes to the green and red or green and brown, whichever it is, but I've put a bit of tape on there with LH on there, so that's left hand. And then obviously there's the right hand one. Okay, so just get a Bit of tape with RH on. That's all I'm doing, look. Just a bit of masking tape. Left hand, right hand. Rip that off. So, I might put that on when I've took it off. Oh, there it is, there's it. Spring tab there. So, lift it out. Lift it out. Pull it apart. Lift it out. Pull it apart. Okay. So on here, on the right hand indicator, again I've got a black one and I've got a green one. So them two are right hand. Just to keep the orientation, so you know where everything goes. Right, and then this will just now, because it's disconnected, we'll just lift out like a son of a bitch, because it's tight. Here you go. Okay. Right, so that's out. There's your rubber. I should give that a clean, because there's a bit of shit at the back of it, and give that a clean. Okay. So this is a good time now to check that those nuts there are tight, that your indicator stalks are nice and tight, they don't twist and wobble about, and also just to make sure that there's no rust or muck. These are piss easy to clean off. Just clean them off with a wire brush, give them a coat of primer, a bit of hard black Simonise black paint, right, and just, you know, just keep on top of them, because these will rust like a bitch. Right, same again with these. You've got the three top hats and the 3 rubbers. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's them 3 top hats. Don't forget they go in from the back side, from the underneath side when you put them in. Right, just push your rubbers out. Like that, that's it. Right, now there should be a bit of play on this now, so I can see why. Well, that one was turning. Which one was it? That one. That was the one that was turning. So I might need to put a bit of glue on that. Yeah, it's turning. So I'll put a bit of epoxy on these, just a little blow of epoxy, stop them turning in the future. Right, that's the one that was turning. These are fine. Be ever so careful with these. It's only plastic. This is a fairly new assembly that I bought to replace the old one that had gone. It was all crap. I'm just trying to figure out how the bloody hell I got the thing apart now, because it does come apart. But I'm buggered if I can find out how to do it. I thought it just pushed apart. I don't want to be this close to me bloody paintwork. Anyway, right, so all this has got to come out. So what I'm going to have to do, because there isn't any connectors on these cables, right? So I've got spade connectors, I've got bullet connectors, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these. Okay, I'm just going to cut them, because the fender's got to come off anyway. So I'm just trying to find out why there is none, because I was bloody positive that there was on these. A lot of tape. Pull that sheath back a bit. Right. Your actual wiring loom, I don't know if you can see these. your wiring loom. Obviously you've got your bundle of wires, but then you've got this black sheath that goes over the top. Right, so your rear brake light, just in case you're wondering, is you've got a red, black and a blue to the rear brake light. Okay, I couldn't tell you which one was which honestly without looking, but I would imagine that the black is obviously the neutral, the negative. Obviously the red is the live, which is activated when you press your back brake, okay, your foot brake, and then the other one is connected to your front brake, right? Because obviously when you pull your front brake, your brake light comes on. So it's in the Haynes manual. I ain't 100% sure, but I think that's the way it is. The blue is the front brake, the red is your back brake, foot brake, and obviously the black is the neutral. Okay, so I'm just going to snip these off now, so I can get the indicator off, the brake light off. I mean, yeah. So just a pair of snips. Right, my battery is disconnected by the way. Okay, so that's your red. So what I'll do is if I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it closer to the loom. Right, that's the red. Now, just a tip: when you cut these, if ever you cut cables like this, let me show you. When you cut your cables, never cut them all the same length. Okay? So make one cut, do your other cut, say an inch away, one side, like that, and then do your other one an inch this way. Right? There's a reason for that. So now you've got 3 different lengths of cable. Right? So when you put your connectors on there, or you twist it together, or you solder it and then you tape it up, or put each string on it, or whatever, none of them 3 can ever come in contact with each other, ever. Right? Because I'm different lengths. Okay? If you cut them all the same, you could obviously, you know, once I'm bundled together, if they start to wear through, or, you know, one can touch the other and cause you all sorts of heartbreak. So that's just a tip. Just always cut your cables 3 different lengths. Okay? So do that one there, come an inch that way for that one, and come an inch back for that one. Good tip. Right, so that's off now. So let's bring you back up here. Right, so there you go. So what I'm going to have to do here is where that bolt is, that bolt goes in there, in that plastic, it's turning when you put the nut on. So I'm going to put some glue around there, probably a bit of epoxy. I might even put a little bit of, well, what have I got? I've got some bloody contact adhesive, not contact adhesive, cyanoacrylate, like super glue. So I might put a bit of that round there as well, just to hold them. I might as well do all 3, just in case they go. So that's going to have a clean, that's going to have a clean. So I'll put that away, and then what I'll do is I'll get set up now, and we'll get the fender off, which is going to be fun. Okay. Well, I'll be back in a sec. Cheers. Right guys, okay, so got the sissy bar off the queen seat, right, took the 4 bolts out and slid it back, so that's off. I've put the bolts in temporary just to show you one step, just in case you haven't got the sissy bar. Okay, so what you need is a number 6 hex drive, hex head. Right, that's if these two bolts either side you've got a hexes. Right, undo them virtually all the way out. Okay, just to the point where they're just ready to come out. Now you can take the front one out, which is the long bolt, okay, because one's longer than the other. The longest one goes at the front, the shorter one goes at the back. Right, so take your front one out all the way. Take it out completely. So that's out. Right, leave your two back ones in for now. Then what you need is you need a 14mm socket or ratchet, or these forward bolts here that hold this crown piece on. Right, when these are tightened up, it pinches these two crown pieces together close to the fender. So you want to slacken these off. That will spread these out away from your fender. So when you drop your fender down, you don't scratch your fender. Right, so just loosen these 14mm bolts on the side. Okay, so that's them. Now what that'll do, as I said, if you can see, yeah, that just opens that gap up there, right? Because when they were tightened up, these are really tight, close to your fender. Yeah, so once you've done that step, now you go to the front of the fender and undo the two 12mm bolts that hold the front of the fender to the cross member. So undo those, leaving these in for now, but just make sure that you can, you can support your fender and you can undo them. So I'm going to undo them two first, which if I bring you over here and show you. That's these two bolts here. So undo these. Mine come off relatively easy because I've got anti-seize on them. Right, so those are out. Right, now that is loose now, that's free. So I'm going to put the camera back down and just show you how to get this off. It's one of them jobs where you could do with 4 pairs of hands. You really could. So if I bring it down a little bit and just show you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to support the fender, because as soon as I take these out, obviously it's going to drop. So I don't know if you can see, I've got my hand between the tyre and the underneath of the fender, and I'm just supporting the weight of the fender. Okay, and then I'll get my number 6. I'm just going to set these bolts out. Nice and steady. Right, that one's out. Remember, I'm supporting the fender, so I don't want it to drop suddenly. And I'm also holding it away from this chrome. Right, that's out now. Now the way you get this out is you let it down gently onto your tyre, like that. Get your bolt out the way, right, and then gradually bring it back so you clear the two chrome wings there, and then it comes out. And there you go. Right, so that's how you get it out. So that's done. Right, so I can put that on the bench. So that's sorted. Okay. And then what I'll do, just so I don't lose them, is bring it on here, bring it over here, so you can see. You can see that. These bolts, just going to drop them back in there. I've got some copper slip on them, some copper anti-seize, right? So they came out really easy. Once I'd cracked them, right? The bolts that go on the side, they're on the side of the fender. As I said, you've got one long one and one short one. Okay, so the long one goes at the front and the shorter one goes at the back. So I'm just going to pop them in for now, just so I don't lose them. Okay, and I'm just going to tighten that up, not all the way, just enough. Yeah, the old tax disc here. So you know what happens is when you tighten up them 14mm bolts, these two chrome wings squeeze in and they actually clamp onto your fender before you put these in. So if them are tight and you try to put your fender in and lift it up, you're going to scratch all your paintwork. So make sure you slacken these off. You ain't got to slacken off the shock mounts. You ain't got to do them. There's enough spring there. Once you get rid of these 14mm, I'll show you. Once you undo these 14mm bolts and you give them about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, you know, about 10mm. There's enough spring there, trust me. I can pull them out. There's enough spring there, both sides, for you to spread them and get your fender out. Okay. Right, so that's the rear fender. And what I'll do is, when I mount the fender back on, these will be torqued up. Okay, I'll put the torque settings down the bottom here. So it'll be the torque settings for these and the torque setting for that one, right? And also the front ones, if there is any, the ones on the cross member. Alright, so now that's the rear fender done, so we'll move on to the front fender. Okay? Right, so yeah, so that's the fender off, the rear fender. Now if you look down here, just to show you, that number 6 hex there and that one there is how you loosen your airbox. So when you do your carbs, take them 2 bolts out, the box drops down a little bit and it moves back by a good inch, maybe 1.5 inches, so you can get your carbs in and out a lot easier than with that bolted in. Obviously you have to remove this cover here, you have to remove that. Right, so that's how you remove the rear fender. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take you around the front and we'll do the front one, which is a hell of a lot bloody quicker because there's no electrics on that, so there's no fannying about. But while you've got it off, if you do this job, while you've got it off, just give a clean down here on your swing arm, just have a look down there. If you notice any muck or any bits of rust or anything, just clean it, degrease it, bit of emery cloth or you know, a Scotch Brite, buff it up and just give it a little lick of paint. Right, you can use brush on paint, you ain't got to use spray paint, but you know, just have a look down inside while you've got access to everything down here, because it's one of them places where you can never get to the bloody thing. Right, so that's that then. So I'll take you around the front and we'll do the front one. Okay, I'll see you in a sec. Cheers. Okay, welcome back. Right, we're at the front of the bike. Front fender. You've got 4 stainless steel bolts here, right, which are a little bit unique. I'll show them you in a sec. You need a number 5 hex head for these, right? Now I have already slackened these off before, so they're only hand tight. So undo them. Now if you can see that, can you see that collar? That collar is the same diameter as the hole in your fender, right? Obviously the bolt diameter is the same diameter as the hole in the metal bracket. Very important when you come to put your fender back on, because these are made of plastic, you take your time. You don't want to force these in. Okay, you might have to jiggle about a little bit and, you know what I mean, twist it slightly to get that to seat in the plastic. It is quite tight. God's sake, don't force it, because if you tighten it too far, you'll split your fender. Alright, so just take your time. Alright, with that. So take the other one out. Okay, so that's two. I'm just going to go the other side of the bike and do the other two. Right, there's four. Now, you'll see in a sec when I take this off. What sometimes happens is you'll get a build-up of muck between the underneath of the fender and the top of the bracket, and it creates stickage. Right? Mud, dirt, slime, shit, whatever. So just give it a little rock gently, and just gently ease it up slightly. Right? Don't go mad, just gently, because you will hit your forks and you'll chip your paint. Now when you get it to you'll see there's like a little curve in it. That curve in the fender conforms to the curve on the bracket. You want to lift the fender past that slot and gradually, very carefully, you want to do this. This is bloody awkward. You want to gently slide the fender back, being careful. Hang on, let's try it the other bloody way. Actually, I'll tell you what, forget that. What we'll do, because it is quite tight, these brackets are quite tight. So on the bracket here, right, you've got 4 bolts, 2 there, 2 the other side. The one on the clutch side has actually got a little plate, a little bracket, which holds the brake cable. Right, so make sure that you put that back on. So you want a 12mm ratchet spanner. And what we'll do is we'll loosen these 4 bolts. That will give me a little bit more room on the fender. So even though them being repainted, I don't want to scratch the hell out of them. Right. Now, don't think my bolts are loose, because they're not. I've actually made this video once, and the bloody hard drive crashed on the camera, so I've had to redo them. I've had to put the fenders back on the bike, the front and the rear ones, just so I can finish this video for you. So I've done this bloody twice. Anyway, it is what it is. Right, so there's the four bolts out of the plate. So that will give me a little bit of movement now. Right. Now these are very springy. You might have to compress them slightly to slide them in between your forks, and then they become quite tight. Right, so just take your time. You don't want to go mad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the whole assembly out in one, and what you want to do is bring it down towards you, trying to keep pressure on that bracket so you don't scratch the inside of your forks. Okay, there we go. Right, so lower the fender down gently and away from the tyre. Oh, I could do with a bigger bloody workshop. Anyway, right, so that's the front fender off. Now, this is what I was on about. See where that curve is there? And it follows all the way up there. So the fender slots into that, right? And what happens is, sometimes, well, a lot of times, you'll get a load of shit gather right there between the metal plate and the underneath of the fender. And sometimes it becomes one. It's a bug. You know, you could break your fender getting this out, right? But that's quite loose. So I'm going to pull that out now. Just see what it looks like. So there's the bracket. Alright. So this is going to have a good clean. I might even repaint this before I put it back on the bike, just so it's, you know, fresh. It has been painted, but it's obviously dirty, and there's some corrosion in there. So I'll probably get the wire brush on that, clean it all up, and give it some primer and a couple of coats of the Simonized acrylic matte black. The hard black. Right, so that's your bracket. That bracket's off now, and that's the fender off. So I don't know if you can see it. You might not be able to see this, but I can see it. Just around this front edge here, there's little clear bubbles where the clear coat started to peel away like it did on the back. So this is all going to get sanded down again and clear coated. So there you go. That's how you get off your front fender. Alright guys, this is going to get a good clean as well. Both fenders. I'm going to give them a good clean in the morning, so they're ready for the painter. When I get them back, I've got some of this stone chip. Okay, this particular brand is Hammerite. It's a stone chip shield, so I'll be spraying both fenders with that. Right, that should prolong the life of the fenders. Okay, so right, this is the second time I've made these videos. So, but there you go. That's how you get your fenders off then, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the bolts back in for now, just so I don't lose them. The fork bolts, the 4/4 bolts. And I'll get the video edited and I'll get it uploaded. So I'll catch you in a bit. Cheers. Okay, guys, that's it. So that's how you take off a front and rear fender on a 2002 Triumph Bonneville America. Right. The back fender, it's a ball ache. Okay. Because you're going to have seized bolts, seized nuts, rusty nuts, you know, and then you've got the wiring loom to deal with. It ain't so bad if you've got connectors on there, because you can just pull them apart and mark them. Right. But I've had to cut mine, so I'm going to have to put some connectors back on the brake light when I put it back together, which ain't a problem. I've got all the gear anyway, so I mean it's only a 2-minute job for me. But obviously you guys might not have, you know, the tools, so it might be a case of just putting the two ends together, twisting them together, soldering them if you can, do a hard connection, bit of insulation tape, or better some heat shrink. Put some heat shrink on first before you join it together. But yeah, that's how you get them off. Bit of a nightmare. One of them jobs that can take 5 minutes or 2 hours. So, okay. Right, so a quick recap then. Take your seat off first, whatever seat you've got on. 8mm if you've got the Queen seat on, 12mm for your main seat. and then you've got your two 12mm bolts in the cross member that hold the front of the fender on. Right, you've got your 4 side bolts, or your hex bolts in the side, 2 either side. Right, get rid of your wiring loom first, take your indicators off, take your brake lights off, and then when they support it with your knee or your leg, or get somebody to help you, even better, and then just let it gradually, as it drops down, right, and it drops down onto your tyre, roll it backwards to clear the framework, and then it will come out piece to piece. And that's really all you need. And then obviously a number 5 on your front fender, number 5 hex head, just for them 4 stainless steel fixings, and then a 12mm if you're taking the bracket off, you know, the bracket that goes between your forks, just a 12mm on there. So pretty straightforward. So yeah, I'm going to get these to the painter tomorrow, get them recoated, get them, you know, wet sanded and everything, and get them back on the bike, hopefully for the weekend. We're supposed to be out this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. Right, so yeah, what I'll do is I'll do the probably the weekend or next week, I'll do the video of all the critical nuts and bolts and torque settings and all this stuff. I'll take the fuel tank off as well, so we can get to the underneath of there, and I can show you everything that's there. So you know, you've got an idea of, you know, what's where, and the rectifier as well. A lot of people mention about where's the bloody rectifiers on these goddamn things. Well, I'm actually down there. Right, so I'll show you on the next video. Alright then guys, you take care, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.